X grew up on late-night warnings.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Scared, straight.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
And were inspired by movies that defined a generation.
I mean, we're all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it, that's all.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Well, we're going, we don't need roads.
I feel the need for speed.
We found our attitude in comedy.
I'm Gumby, damn it.
You see that sign?
No shirt, no shoes,
No dice!
Right. Learn it. Know it. Live it.
And our identity in pop culture.
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV!
Who you talking about, Willis?
Keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
This is Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhide.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Episode 27 underway. Bill Rowland here, Gary Dollarhide there. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. The Gen X Men podcast. Got a lot to get to today, including a movie, Detention, 42 years ago this week. We will talk about that, whether or not you could actually pull that off in these times that we are living in these days. Gary, what's good? What's going on? How was your week?
Not bad. We're getting ready for our big move to back to northern Maine. So we're packing and moving things around and kind of getting that settled. So everything's disheveled. The dog's upset because, you know, there's boxes where he usually lays and everything. So yeah, that's just what we're going through this week.
All right. And you're moving at the end of the month.
This coming Tuesday.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. The end of the month. Because today is.
So hopefully we'll be set up and settled and ready for next Thursday.
Awesome. If not, we'll figure something out. We'll do it. Maybe we'll record 2 or 3 episodes and then we can just throw them out week by week. All right. Before we get to the main topic, I guess we usually have 2 or 3. Got to talk about, because this was, and I should have pulled the clip so people will believe me. If not, go back, find the episode that we did our New Year's predictions on. I believe. Let me go back and look. That was episode 15. Episode 15, Happy New Year. So you can go back and find it, where we made the prediction. And I said on that episode that the government would admit there were aliens in 2026. And lo and behold, Gary, what happened this past week? The government has bought the domain. And I cannot believe somebody didn't have it, although I guess it's a .gov.
Correct.
So you'll be able to get it anyway. But
yeah,
Aliens.gov and Alien.gov now registered to the federal government.
So, but here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Which aliens are they getting this for?
Well, either way, they're illegal. That's my,
are they
like,
they're illegal no matter what.
from space or from the southern border. I don't think we really want them here either way, do we? I mean, that's, and
they're not from inside the 50 states.
Yeah, before everybody freaks out, I'm all for people coming here and doing it the proper way. I got no issue with that whatsoever, except for the space aliens. They don't need to be here on any level. Although, look, would you be shocked if they were already here?
No, I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because just going across, if you look at it, if they have the technology and the wherewithal to get here, then they have it to blend in. So it's not like for lack of a better expression, a bunch of dumb redneck aliens showed up and they've been hanging out and we didn't know it. Right. So and maybe the rednecks are the aliens. I don't know. But no, if you go with the logic that if they have the technology and capability to get here, they have probably and were here, then we wouldn't know about it.
Right.
So
I agree. And I fall along the lines of a lot of people who look at it and go, hey, man, there's no way without advanced technology that humans built like the pyramids or stuff like that. I fall into that. No question. When you start, like you hear it when you're in school and they'd be like, "Oh, you know, the Egyptians had slaves, and this other bit," and then you go, "All right, well that kind of makes sense because you're you don't care. You're 14, 15 years old, whatever it is, and you're like, all right, sure." And then you get old and you start looking at stuff, and it's like it's precise down to like the center, the millimeter in some spots, and everything else, and you just kind of go, "Well, how is this even possible then? If we couldn't do it today, how did they manage to do it 5,000 years ago? Heck, 3,000 years ago, however long it was." So I don't subscribe to the fact that it was just a bunch of Egyptian slaves dragging things through the desert to get them to where they ended up. I don't buy it.
Well, no, I mean, from hieroglyphs and other things, there's questionable interactions that were recorded back then. I have no idea if they're real or not. Was it just artistry, inspiration? I don't know, but it does. I won't say it didn't happen. I just don't know if it did. That's kind of where I'm stuck. And maybe I use too much logic. I don't know.
No, it's just nothing wrong with being logic. I just think that things in this world that have been around, like how do we know? We have no idea what was going on 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. We have no clue. And I don't trust any of these scientists because it keeps getting reset over and over again. It seems like every new generation of archaeologists and scientists, or whatever, go, "Hey, you know what? It looks like these people were here a lot sooner than we thought they were." Like everybody for like the United States, they're like, "Well, people didn't get here until, whatever it was, 15,000 years ago." Now they're like, no, probably more like 20 to 25. Like it keeps getting pushed back. So I don't think we have any idea what was going on, what technology there was. Nothing was written down. If it was, it's just not there anymore, or it's a different language. And you just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you just on the surface look at some of the explorations of some of the South American and I guess Mexico through South America, some of those civilizations that they've gone in and looked at, I mean, it's pretty sophisticated cities that were built, even just maybe not the structure, but the designs and everything were not just people living in huts necessarily. So it's pretty interesting to look at. And then I think the book's called 1492. There's evidence of the Chinese well before the 1400s visiting other areas around the world through their navy, if you will. So it's like you said, the more we go, the more evidence we find that, hey, things have happened. Things have been going on for way much longer than what, let's say, you and I were taught coming up, that, hey, before 1607 Jamestown, America was just a bunch of Native Americans. Not necessarily true. So
right. And that's the problem, is that, and you can't tell me that the Vikings weren't here. What was it?
Leif Erikson.
Yes, Leif Erikson. I was going to say Leif Garrett, but that's a totally different. That's a totally
He's for another show.
Yes, that's a different show that we could talk about on Gen X-Men. But all that. I mean, you can't tell me that they weren't here and that there wasn't, people that came across before Columbus. He wasn't the first. There's just no way.
And then we know Columbus landed in technically Haiti and called them Indians because he thought he landed in India. So,
right. Well, actually, it was something. It was something else, because India wasn't a country in 1492. So it was something. There's another reason why it was Indian or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but the country of India wasn't known. If somebody had said to Columbus, "Do you think you're in India?" He would be like, "What's India?"
Well, he wouldn't know what India was, but just that area of the world. That's where he thought he was.
Yes, correct. He did. Yes, he did think he was somewhere else and not in the Caribbean, so to speak. But with them putting Aliens.gov and I think Alien.gov as well, registering both of them, are you excited for this? Are you worried for this? Or do we think that this is just them doing something because, look, let's be honest, this administration is really good at trolling people. Say what you want about everything else. They're really good trolls. Is this a troll job or is there something coming?
I'm sure there's two parts. I know there's been a lot of hearings lately about UAPs, UFOs, and maybe this is just going to be part of their whole slowly but surely releasing information, being transparent. Maybe they are prepping us for the big one, and this is just the first steps of putting information out there that seems innocuous and irrelevant, and then one day we get the, oh, by the way. So that's how government works, right? They're slow to do anything, really. So that's why I think it's part transparency and part of just something may be coming. I don't have that like, oh my goodness, this is it, but it's the setup, the long setup, if you will, is what I think it is.
See, I have a feeling I'll be like, oh, this is really cool. But I also think there's going to be a lot of people, and I would probably ultimately be one of them, that just kind of go, shrug your shoulders and go, okay, now what? Like, how does it change my life? Do I still have to pay my mortgage? Do I still like, are the aliens just going to pay everything off for me? Do I not have to work anymore? Like, what's the payoff? What's in it for me? That's what I want to know. What's in it for Bill? That's
probably
the only thing
not much.
Nothing.
So
why would I care?
Yeah. Well, if you think in the bigger picture, the problem is they always say that if we admit that there is other life forms out there, that it could destroy the civilization we have, not in terms of war, but now all of a sudden it's kind of paradigm shifting of, oh, it's, as I say, it's not just us. And what are we doing? And is it they're better? Because obviously they had the technology to get to us. So they say that it create an upheaval in society if and when it comes out. So maybe it is that small dose kind of thing that they have to do to finally admit to it.
Well, let's ask this question, and I don't want to stand this for too long, but does it break? Because I've heard that argument before that society would just absolutely break down. And my thing is, if we are told that they've been visiting and coming here for centuries, like why would you freak out then? Because you've lived your entire life and nothing bad has happened to you with the alien. Like it's just something else there. Now there's having people that make the argument that would collapse religions. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it should collapse religion. I think it just brings a new perspective to society. Because one can make the same argument, and I'm not trying to make fun, but same of,
sure.
If you live in Southern California and your gardener's been coming across the border illegally for so long, but he's helped you out and he goes back. I mean, is it any different than someone visiting from somewhere else that comes in, does something great and leaves? It's probably a benefit if you get down to it. So, I
mean, there's the theory that more than one occasion that the aliens, whatever you want to say, other beings, other dimensions, whatever, have stopped nuclear war from happening. Like they've actually, like people have talked about, like either the power goes down or something doesn't work, like around nuclear. Like there's all sorts of weird stuff that happens around the nuclear weapons spots. And you've tons of stories. You just look online, you find them all over the place. So I'm not going to say exactly who, because I don't want to out them, but there is someone within, not my direct family, but adjacent family. That makes sense. That they have a relative that actually worked at Area 51.
Okay.
I need to see if I can back channel and see if we can get any kind of chatter with them. I may have to do that. I may have to do that today. Got to stay off email and that kind of stuff. Of course, they're checking all of it. But,
they're checking everything. Of course, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to check this show too, right? Well, so now
they could be a visitor number 25. Then that'd be fine.
They're data mining beyond belief, so they'll pick it up off this show.
They're definitely doing a lot of that, which is crazy. All right, so that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Again, as it goes forward. Again, I said episode 15. Happy New Year. This would be the year that they disclose aliens. I didn't say that for any particular reason other than I think this is the year that they disclose aliens. So,
well, like I said, I think we're heading toward that, and I still believe it's going to be the breadcrumb situation. where instead of the big blast one day, it's going to be, oh yeah, we know this. Oh yeah, we know that. And it'll just keep going and going till eventually it's just there and we accept it.
And that's why I say I think most people are going to be like, okay, like now what?
Yeah.
Like, are they going to give us, free energy? No, we don't care. Are they going to do this for us? No, forget it. Don't care.
Right.
Kind of now it will be, and I don't believe this is it, but it will be, it would collapse society if you found out there were like actual lizard people, like shapeshifters and stuff like that, that we've been led by this community of lizards for centuries. Then I think it would collapse.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you learned that the royal family was actually lizard people, wouldn't you be like, hold on a second?
Well, I've seen that kind of historical theory too, that, especially in the old kingdoms from Europe, like supposedly they were the visitors, right? It started way back when, and however you want to say they got in line and took over. It's just, you assumed power back in the day because you were the strongest. Well, were you the strongest because you weren't from here? So you had
maybe
mind melding capabilities or technology, whatever, and then kind of established that, these visitors will be the leaders going forward. I mean, you could make a movie about that.
Well, I think they did, maybe. I don't know. But I mean, it's no different. I mean, to me, on a much larger scale with aliens, but it's no different than like for years, people were told, like, oh no, there's no way that they could do this, no way they could do this, and they could do this. And a perfect example of it is like the Havana syndrome, where the auditory thing that would just like, do you remember that was going on?
Yeah.
Like outside embassies and stuff, and people were being targeted.
Yes.
And everybody's like, no, there's just something. And now
we have it.
We said, yeah, it's true. Like we heard about all these, crazy weapons that they had, and they're like, no way, you can't have it. And then they go to Venezuela, and everybody talks about these sonic weapons. It's like, yeah, that's true. So that's where I'm like, hold on a second. If they have all this stuff that for years they've been like, no. Yeah, by the way. Yes. I mean, I think you're right. I think it's going to be kind of the breadcrumb thing where they go, well, yeah, we're not sure about this, how this ship can go this fast, like not ship on the water, but like ship in the air, starship, if you will. We're not sure why it can go that fast. We're not sure. And then like, oh yeah, we know about it. Yeah, we have that. And then, oh yeah, by the way, there's these guys that are piloting it, and Roswell was true, and that kind of stuff. So
see, now you're ruining it for me, because my dreams of, military research, DARPA, the whole 9 yards was always a bunch of guys just sitting around drinking beer and go, hey, what if we could build a weapon that made noise that bothered people? Can we do that? And then they just go off and go do it, right?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the way a lot of some of the stuff is done. I mean, why not? I mean, that'd be great. Like, what would be really annoying? Like, you were sitting there just like, and there's like a dog barking constantly, like your neighbor's dog just won't shut up. You're on your deck trying to enjoy a barbecue. You're like, what if we could weaponize that? There's got to be some sort of sound that would just annoy people to death. And that's what you come up with. It's because your neighbor's dog barked for 4 hours or something.
Exactly. Or, 4th of July picnic and they're throwing Frisbees. It's like, hey, can we make a stealth bomber that looks like a Frisbee, sort of, right? That thin and just flies at you. No one can see it. So anyway, that was always my dream, is just guys sitting around going, what if, could we do that?
Why not?
But now you're bringing the aliens into it. And it's like, no creativity here.
Back engineering. But yeah, that's how most like redneck weekends probably start. Hey, do you think we could do this? I don't know. Go try it. Get some duct tape and a 30-06, and we'll see what we can come up with. And they go from there. Speaking of guns.
Yes.
Really crazy story from down my sister's area. She lives over in Maryland. Down there, Calvert County, St. Mary's County, all down that way, Route 4 down towards Patuxent River. And there was a gentleman. I'm sure most of you have heard this story by now. If you haven't, be prepared. Dayton James Webber. He is 27. He's from La Plata, Maryland, which is down that way.
Mm-hmm.
Was arrested earlier this week in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is about a 2+ hour drive, and that detail is important, from La Plata. He has been charged, which, again, this isn't a surprise. Things happen all the time. He has been charged with first-degree murder, second-degree murder, assault in the first degree, and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. Now, that's all tragic because somebody lost their lives in all of this. However, the detail in all this is that Mr. Webber is a quadriplegic.
Yeah. Amputee.
From the knee down, from the elbow down.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to shoot a passenger in his car, drag him out of the car, dump him, I think, in a front yard somewhere.
I think that's what it said, yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yep.
And then proceeded to drive to Charlottesville before he
led the state.
Led Maryland and drove to Charlottesville, which, again, if you're not from the area, that's not a short drive.
No, not at all.
Because that's going from like the DC, Virginia border, DC, Maryland, Virginia border to Central Virginia, basically.
Yep.
Down where the University of Virginia is.
Yep. So, I mean,
what do you make of this?
What do I make of it? There is a tragedy involved, but if his people, and maybe he has an agent because he's a professional cornhole player, so he's got people, are not on the horn with like the American Association of Disabled Americans or something. I mean, he's a poster boy of what you can do when you are physically, what do they say now? What's the word? Challenged, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
I just want to speak correctly, but yeah. Yeah, no arms, no legs. You're able to be a professional cornhole player, drive a car, allegedly shoot someone. I mean, that just says you can win at all costs. Like inspirational. Like I'm waiting for the movie for this one.
I don't know if it'll make Netflix, but it certainly could be one of those. What's not Hallmark? They do all the nice cheesy.
They do
ones.
the nice lovey ones.
What's the one? Is it ID TV or whatever it is, where they have all the crime ones or something? They could do it. Yeah, they could do a movie on that. This is amazing to me because here's the thing: there were 4 of them in the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me the 2 people in the back seat who, when he asked them to help him pull the guy he shot out of the car, they're like, "No, we're out." And I give them credit. They were like left and went right to the police and like, "Hey man, you're not going to believe this. We haven't been drinking, completely sober. There's a guy out there, no arms and no legs, who just shot a guy and drug him out of the car and left him. And now he's on the run. No, we haven't been smoking weed, officer." I mean, that's, if you're the officer, how do you respond to that when they say, "Hey, by the way, we were just witness to a shooting"? Really? Okay. Let me write this down. What's he driving? And they're like, "Oh, I think he had a Tesla," which, again, self-driving probably. I was like, "All right, Tesla. All right, cool. What color is it? Write it all down.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a description of the guy." And they're like, the professional cornhole guy. He's around. You guys know him. He's a problem around here all the time. And they're like, "Wait a minute. You're telling me Dayton Webber, the guy with no arms and no legs, shot a guy?" "Yes, officer. That's what I'm telling you." "You guys sure you haven't been drinking tonight?" Like, imagine that conversation went.
Well, I'm just trying to imagine when they put out the all points bulletin. Was he considered unarmed and dangerous?
I don't know. I mean, it's possible.
But the bad thing for him is, I guess there is video of him either on his social media or something of him firing a gun. So it's not as if we have proof that he could do it. So that defense is off the table. He won't get OJ'd out of this one.
No.
So
although the glove would not fit.
The glove would not fit.
I guess. Yes. Look, it's a tragedy. I mean, I don't want to.
No, it is. It is.
The jokes write themselves for days, and we know that. And I mean, it it is an absurd situation when you think about it. But it sucks that this guy lost his life, probably for some petty, stupid argument. But again, I just wonder why the guys in the back seat, like the gun must have already been loaded and available to him.
Oh yeah,
because there's no way he like goes into his glove box or like the console between the seats there in the front, grabs the gun. Like they would have been able to stop it. Like even the guy who got shot would have been like, "Hey man, are you pulling out your gun? Like you just reach over and grab it." Or I guess in the moment you're like, "There's no way this dude's gonna shoot me," because whoever thinks this dude's gonna shoot me, quadriplegic or not, you're probably in that situation. You're like, "Yeah, are you seriously gonna pull that out right now?" So that's the thing is, I just don't know how the guys in the back seat didn't put a stop to it. I need more details. I definitely need more details on this.
There has to be more to the story because I agree with you. It's not as if it could have just been down in let's say he was in the driver's seat. I don't know.
I think
it's not as if it couldn't have been either tucked down in the door. You know how all the doors have the little cubby hole down on the left side if you're the driver's side, or tucked down on the right side in between the seat, because he physically just can't grab it. Like there's going to be motion. And if you look at the video, how he has to hold it, to grab it, to do it just didn't come out of nowhere. So there's something was going on in that car. And to me, he had to have been able to, it was already out or something was going on because it wouldn't have just appeared.
Maybe he had it sitting in his lap. That's possible.
True.
And again,
any normal person, let's say you were having an altercation or whatever, and you're sitting in the passenger seat, even if it's just sitting in his lap, there should have been like, I need to get out of the car. Like, right. There fair warning, like a gun comes out, bad things happen.
Right. Sure.
Right. So it tells me that there's something going on where it didn't phase anyone because he can't just pull it out.
Right. I'm just wondering, like, I've only been inside of a Tesla one time, I think. So I don't know.
They're roomy.
I'm just saying in a Tesla, do the doors, like if I'm in the passenger seat or if I'm in the back seat, is there a way for me not to be able to get out? Like if you're the driver, do you have the ability to like hit a button and like then the doors stay locked and there's no way for you to like open your door at all? I know in cars they have the kids lock where you can control the back doors so you can't open, but most of them won't lock the front passenger seat. I don't know if Tesla has that or not. I don't know. I've only been in one.
So here's the deal. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla did, but then I'd have to go with it was already set up because he can't just push buttons on the screen. No,
he could. I mean, why couldn't he, Gary? Look,
elbow in.
I like that. And if it's on the side, he could just reach over and poof. I don't know.
Yeah. So, like I'm with you. There are a lot more details on how did we get to this point that he could pull the gun and use it allegedly in his condition. So,
right, well, again, the two guys that were witnesses in the charging documents told police that Webber pulled out a firearm and shot Wells twice in the head during the argument. Okay, so they got out of the vehicle, flagged down a cop again. So no arms and no legs, you say.
But they got out of the vehicle, so you couldn't lock all the doors.
Right. So he got out of the car, right? So according to again the police filing, around 12:41 a.m. on March 23rd, so just a few days ago, a resident at this address, Newport Church Road in Charlotte Hill, Maryland, discovered Wells' body on the side of the road. So they ended up finding him in Charlottesville, Virginia. He was at a hospital seeking treatment. I wonder what he was seeking treatment for. It says in here what we don't know. Police have not explained how Webber was able to drive a car or fire a weapon. I mean, I can tell you, I've seen it.
Yep. We've got the video. That's why I said his defense is going to be a little like if that video did not exist, you could almost Johnny Cochran this thing, except for the two eyewitnesses. Be like,
right. Well, that does put a damper on it.
So if he did,
know he did it.
Right? So if you take that out, I mean, you could go down the road of, hey, how's he going to fire the gun? Someone figure that out for me, right? And the jury be like, yeah, right. I don't know how he did it. So
Right. Exactly.
But I've already saw one where they did the whole from the Holy Grail with the knight who ends up with all of his arms and like
yes, the Black Knight.
They've done that
It's just
meme.
a flesh wound.
And I'm waiting on someone to use AI to do the shootout scene from Tombstone between Doc Holliday and I can't remember his name, but anyway, like as he's wiggling through the woods, no arms, no legs, and I'll be your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
It just outdraws the other guy.
I mean, this will be a bad quote to bring up in the court case as well. He did it, he was in People magazine again for his American Cornhole League when he became a professional cornhole player. And he says, this is from People. I want to encourage others to take chances and pursue their dreams. I've overcome difficulties, and I think others can too. Here's the money quote. I hope people give disabled people a chance. We will definitely surprise you. If we say we can do it, we can do it. We've probably done it before.
That's why I'm saying his people need to be on the horn.
Yeah.
With, these associations for disabled people. Say, look, yes, there may be a bad edge to this, but if you go back, I mean, let's talk about what he's been able to accomplish in his situation, But maybe, you know what, though? That's how he gets out of this. Maybe it's reduced charges, we plea, but we're going to do PSAs and be a spokesperson, right?
Your passenger? What PSAs is he going to do?
Well, I'm just
Dayton Webber. I was up for first and second degree murder, but I want you to know that you can pursue your dreams. Don't give up. Look at me.
Right?
I was able to shoot a guy and drive to Charlottesville. I mean, I don't know if that PSA works.
Well, no, but it's still like you can do anything you want to. That's the whole purpose here. You can't let your disability hold you back. If there's a will, there's a way, right? It almost writes itself. So
I just want to know if he was driving a Tesla, that's pretty good range for a Tesla, right? I mean, it's a couple
300 miles. Because he would have went on down 301, crossed over into the northern neck.
Or did he go out the 495 or in Virginia and then go out 66 to 29?
Yeah.
I'm curious honestly, I'm curious how he got there.
I would assume that far south, he wanted to get out of the state. And
so why would you get down 301 then?
Because then that cuts over into central Virginia. You cross the Potomac River.
Across the UVA, though.
Yeah, but then was it Route 3 direct into Charlottesville? So,
I was thinking I would go 29 down, but I don't know.
Let's see. I'm going to look it up.
But again, I mean, it's a couple hundred miles maybe, but I guess depending on when he had it charged up, it would have been good to go.
Well, he could have stopped. It is Google says from La Plata, it's 110 miles, 2 hours, 24 minutes.
Okay.
You go south, hit route, because you're coming right into Fredericksburg once you cross the Potomac down there. And it's a straight shot over into Charlottesville.
Is that the King William County?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's a little bit further south.
King George County.
Yes, King George, right into Fredericksburg.
Yeah, okay.
And just keep coming right across to Charlottesville, because Charlottesville's way further south than you think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So by going south, he's almost cutting straight across to get in. Yeah.
All right. That makes sense.
Yep.
That makes sense. But even still, it's pretty impressive.
100 miles.
I couldn't imagine. I mean, again, if he's in the self-driving Teslas, I don't trust those things at all. There's no way. If I ever bought a Tesla, and I won't until you can charge them as quick as I can do a fill up of gas, I don't want an electric car. Because I don't want to take a road trip and have to stop and wait a half hour for my car to charge up and then get back on the road again. Like, I don't have that kind of time. I got things to do and places to go.
Well, I could see it both ways. Like, because I known people have them, and they just said, "Yep, that's kind of when we stop for lunch or stretch our legs, etc." Or if they have a dog, right? So, I prefer my hybrid, so I get the great gas mileage without having to plug it in every time I stop. So, I enjoy that.
That's fair.
But what's funny is I just realized it's kind of this is just random. You know, he went south. He almost followed the John Wilkes Booth plan to get out of D.C., to keep going south, cross into Virginia, and then get caught, because he crossed about right where they ended up catching Booth outside of Fredericksburg. So
Yep. That's true.
Neither plan worked.
And I believe wasn't Wilkes Booth from down that way in Southern Maryland as well?
I think so. Yeah. Because he knew people and what to do, etc.
Yeah.
Man.
Interesting. Anyway, crazy story. I will definitely be keeping track of that and the aliens. All right. I'm going to read this because it needs to be read, and then we'll talk about whether or not people will recognize this immediately, because it's in our open as well. Or at least a quote from that movie, not this directly. All right. So March 24th, 1984.
42 years ago.
What's that? 42 years ago.
42 years ago.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms and the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain and an athlete and a basket case, a princess and a criminal. Does that answer your questions? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
Mm-hmm.
So 42 years ago this week, that was when they were in detention on that Saturday. Great movie. Again, Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall, Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson
from Portland, Maine, no less.
And who's the other?
Ali Sheedy.
Yes. Can't believe I couldn't remember her, because I thought she was way more attractive than Molly Ringwald.
I agree with you.
Okay. I was over Molly Ringwald guy.
Yeah, she's okay, but just
Pretty in Pink and The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles, all this stuff. Everybody was like, I was like,
yeah.
As the kids say today, she's mid.
She's mid.
But anyway, so great movie. Loved the movie. Everybody saw it. I saw it in the theater, even though I was turning 14, because it came out in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they started filming actually a week after that quote unquote letter was written in detention. But it came out in 85. So I was 13, maybe almost 14 at that point. But I remember seeing it in the theaters. Loved it, of course, because everybody did. But my question is, could you do that today? Could you make that movie today with all the same type of characters, the a-hole principal, the janitor? Like, could you have The Breakfast Club and do the same sorts of things that they did back then in 1984, 85? Could you do it here 40 years later?
My wimpy answer is yes and no, because there are certain facets of it that translate to today.
Okay.
However, representing what society is now, there would have to be some changes within certain characters and how things are done. So let's just start with, nowhere that I'm aware of today would they allow a male principal to be alone with 5 kids on a Saturday by themselves as detention. I just don't think that could happen.
I didn't even think about that aspect. Oh, he wasn't alone. The janitor was there.
Well, the janitor, but I don't know. Do janitors work Saturdays anymore? So there's certain things I go, I don't know if we could do that. I certainly don't think, let's just start with him, the principal. I don't know if those kind of principals exist anymore, or was he vice principal? Maybe he's vice. But anyway, I don't know if you can be that hard edged anymore in modern education. I just don't see it, because that's what I'm saying. How society has changed, where that used to be your principal, your superintendent, whatever. They were kind of the taskmasters, like military mindset. We're doing this. We're doing this. I don't think you can do that anymore. And that just comes from stories of friends of ours who were in teaching, have left teaching, go, that wouldn't fly today.
Well,
It's just not acceptable.
You think about the other, you had the argument when him and Bender, who's Judd Nelson's character, they get in the argument. And he said, do you want another one? Do you want another one? How many are we up to now? When they're going back and forth, he just keeps giving him another detention, etc. And at one point, Anthony Michael Hall's character, Brian, steps in because he goes, how many is that now? And he goes, sir, including the one when you came in.
Right.
Remember, he is correct. He's the geek. He's correcting everything, which is hysterical. And then at the end of that exchange, because then Principal Vernon goes, I got you now for 8 weeks or whatever it is. And Brian goes, sir, it's 7. And he says, shut up, Pee-wee.
Yeah.
There's no way in this day and age you could get away with that as a principal telling as a student that shut up and then call him Pee-wee.
Yeah.
Exchange. It was a fantastic exchange.
And the exchange when it's just Judd Nelson and I can't remember the actor's name, when he's got him alone talking about go ahead, take your shot. Because who are they going to believe? Again, I just would be surprised of anyone with that kind of confidence would be allowed in education anymore because they just kind of run that out as far as I'm concerned. That's just an opinion, but maybe in Texas there is a guy that's still like that, but in general, don't think you will find that kind of attitude from a high school administrator still around.
And then, of course, when they're all sitting around and they're having the discussion, which is most of the Saturday, when Ali Sheedy's character talks about being a nymphomaniac, and they're like, no way. I mean, all of them are like, of course, which of course would be the reaction that any high school kid, you're crazy, get out of here. And then I can't remember whose character. I can't remember if it was Molly Ringwald's character or Anthony Michael Hall's character said, have you told anybody about this? And she says, only one person, my shrink. And they say, well, what did he say? And then she goes, he nailed me. You would never be able to get away with that in this day and age.
No.
Never.
Well, and so kind of flipping on teenage angst, it still exists.
Of course.
Differently, right? Because that's really what we're dealing with when you look at that is these kids trying to find themselves, who they are, how they fit in, etc. So that would still exist in the movie, but we're just going to have to change characters. So Ali Sheedy being the quote unquote basket case, I don't know, she might be the main character because mental health now is such a big thing. Like they would focus on, oh, this is what she's going through. And there, we would delve into it more so than what was in the original movie, right? We'd have this offshoot. And then also you might have to switch out some of the other characters because in this day and age, there's going to be kids dealing with their gender identity and all sorts of things that we're going to have, racial identity. You're just going to have to include that because that would be expected in doing that movie in a modern version. No more just simplistic, jock, nerd, princess, basket case, criminal. Criminal would not even probably be in the movie because, where we are in society with that, it's like, it's normal, it's okay. That's not outcast.
I think was and at the time you didn't think about it in this way, but looking back at it, and I know they were caricatures of a larger group or whatever, but you think about Emilio Estevez's character when he was the jock and he talked about how it was always having to please his dad and everything else. And
his coach.
I don't remember. And I mean, I had friends that were athletes. I played varsity sports when I was in high school. I don't remember having anybody that had a dad that was that insane when pushing the sport stuff. And again, I understand that there was a whole kind of, not one individual was supposed to represent a larger, broader, situation than just one person. But I don't remember anybody having that dad be that way. Now, I had friends that were from broken families like Bender. Now, I don't know that any of their dads were beating them like Bender implies in the movie, but I certainly knew kids that were from not great home lives. But I don't remember that particular thing with the athlete. And having gone back and watched it again in the past years, I've always been like, this now rings a little hollow for me. but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, personally as well, I don't recall a parent being that hardcore about it. But then I hear stories from friends of mine, and who coach and umpire and referee. There's some pretty intense parents out there. So somewhere it has to translate, to a certain individual somewhere. Not saying the vast majority, but there's going to be the father out there that's, hey, you got to do this, and because it's based on his scholarship. If you remember, he was in trouble, and he has to be a winner. Well, now it's more than just a scholarship, right? Depending on who you are, how good you are, there's a lot of money involved in college athletics as your way out, to get out the door and restart. So I'm sure there's a few out there that will push it to that extent.
See, it's funny because I can remember a lot of people talk, and I've gone back when we started talking about we were going to use this on the show. I didn't go back and watch the movie, but I read some like different message board things, and I went back and kind of was looking to see what people remembered from the movie. And there were a lot of people, and again, I don't know who these people are because it's just message board, Reddit, whatever stuff. But there were a lot of people who said, "Oh, I totally looked at this character and like, that's me. I totally related to this character." There isn't one of the 5 that I go, "Oh yeah, I see that. That's who I was in high school." I was kind of a mix of the 3. I mean, if you want to just say keep it to the male characters, it's probably a mix of the 3 of them because I got in trouble, not to the extent that Bender did, but I got in trouble in school. I had detention every now and then. I was an athlete, but not pushed to the point like my dad wasn't like, "You've got to do." I mean, it wasn't that. And then, I mean, I didn't have the grades, I guess, like Anthony Michael Hall was supposedly the geek and had the great grades. I didn't have that, but I had friends. Like, I would have hung out with a guy like that in school. I did have friends like that in school. So it was just kind of weird, like, to see that people like, "Oh, I was such a Claire. Oh, I was such an Allison in school." And I'm like, it wasn't any of these people. I kind of knew like, a mix up of those people, a blended version of those people, but there wasn't anybody that was like, and I even thought, like, going back, I'm like, okay, do I know somebody that was a Bender or a Claire? And I was like, I don't think I do. I don't think I know anybody that was like, okay, that was definitely, this guy was definitely this. This girl was definitely this. We certainly didn't have any that I was aware of, any of the Allisons that were sleeping with their psychiatrist or crazy to even pretend that she was doing that, because I mean, ultimately she wasn't. But we didn't have anybody that was like that. I would imagine in your small high school, your school is smaller than mine. I don't know. Could you look at it and say, "Oh yeah, we definitely had a Bender. We definitely had a Claire. We definitely." I mean, I don't know.
Well, so Bender was always the outlier because I don't recall anyone that was just outright criminal, right? I mean, and the question is how far criminal. It just, no one was that bad, if you will. Like, people got in trouble, but it wasn't the constant, always in detention, whatever.
Right.
The rest of them, you could pick and choose certain people who would be that role if you were trying to fit the movie back to my school. They weren't perfect, but they would be, that's really the jock. That could probably happen at their house. That she's definitely the princess. And maybe not to that extent with the BMW and everything, but she get what she wants. So you could translate it backwards, I think, is what I could see more than anything. And again, being Hollywood and good writing, you extrapolate to make the story interesting, because otherwise it's not, right? So we pick the extremes from certain segments to highlight that in the movie to make the story work, versus you or I who, I got some trouble. Yeah, I played some sports. Yeah, my grade's pretty decent. So what, right? It just becomes boring. It doesn't fit the storyline.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for the most part, I mean, again, I think my high school career or experience or whatever is probably not much different. Well, it may be a little different than a lot of people, because there's obviously most people in high school don't get themselves involved with sports or with drama or with everything else. So I guess maybe it wasn't a typical high school experience. I don't know. And I say drama, I mean like theater. I don't mean like there was a lot of drama going on, like Housewives drama or something. No, this was just more like doing the acting and stuff that I did in when I was in high school. So I guess mine wasn't probably a typical high school experience.
No, I would think that you and I, you went to a huge school, I went to small one, very similar and probably the norm. Again, I just think this movie, for the purposes of being a screenplay and being interesting, John Hughes just went a little bit deeper and made it seem more than it was, because that's how you carry the storyline. Because to me, that's a lot of Hollywood, television, right? We take a story and we really kind of embellish it a bit to make it stand out and make you go, oh my goodness, right? Because again, otherwise it's boring, right?
Right.
Because 90% of high school guys at our age probably went through what we did, a little bit of everything, and just kind of, normal and boring, right? Doesn't make a good movie that way.
No, but fair. That's fair. But I mean, I think there are a lot of other scenes in that movie that you couldn't necessarily get away with today. Like when Bender is underneath the table and he looks up Claire's skirt, there would be absolute outrage.
Oh, absolutely.
Happening today.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. But you can easily get weed today and smoke it, especially here in the state of Maine.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I mean, that's the thing is, and again, obviously not being a teenager or anything like that. I don't know what would be not equivalent to that, but what would be they're all going to be sitting there with their, I guess if they're in detention,
their phones,
they wouldn't have their phones if they're in detention. So there's that. But that would be, to me, that would be the whole thing of like, these people didn't really know each other. I guess Claire and, not Brian. What was Emilio Estevez's name in that movie? Andrew. Yep. Andy. I guess they knew each other, and they kind of surface wise, they all knew each other. But so that would be the thing. If you're going to do this, it would be like all these kids who never speak to each other because they're constantly on their phones now suddenly discover how much they have in common because they actually have to sit down and talk to each other. That to me would be the underlying thread of the movie,
right? But it's still the lesson. People you don't talk to, don't normally hang out with, you're forced into the situation to be social with them, and you start to learn things and figure things out. I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, the teenage angst, and especially nowadays with phones, the whole idea that you don't know each other, we're going to put you in a room, and now you're going to talk and try to understand each other. I mean, that's just perfect for the modern society right now. That part would still play out. Like I said, we just got to change up some cast of characters and certain situations to fit, society more so now. But
yes, you definitely couldn't do it with 5 white kids.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we said that before. Like, that's the other issue that would be like, oh, this is just the wrong high school. That's not real. They would trash it for that, without having all these categories met, the boxes checked, to make it acceptable for modern society.
Right. Now, let me pivot off of this just to kind of close things out. In talking about that, as far as things go, did you see Vince Vaughn, the clip of Vince Vaughn on Theo Vaughn's podcast?
I did not.
Okay, so Vince Vaughn is on. You know who Theo Vaughn is, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so Vince Vaughn is on Theo Vaughn's podcast. Vaughn spelled 2 different ways for people who don't know. And he made a comment about how all the late night network TV shows basically all are the same and they've lost their way because they're way too political. And he made the point of, he's like, I don't like them because I feel like I'm sitting in a class that I didn't sign up for and I'm being lectured.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost the same, except not with the politics stuff. It's almost the same thing when you're trying to do a movie or a show these days. And it feels like when you go in, and Bert Kreischer even talked about this and talking about his Netflix show when he went in and was like, here's what I want to do here, the characters. And they're like, well, where's your diversity in the cast? And he's just like, where this actually wasn't his TV show. It was when he was doing his movie.
Okay.
That was on Netflix, not the TV show. He's talking about when he did the movie. And he's like, we're going to Russia. Like, there's not that much. Like, he's like, how much diversity is there to be had when this is, back in the 90s when he was in school? He was talking about, you've heard his famous Russian mob story. So it was the movie about that. And he was like, there wasn't any. Like, he's like, there wasn't any. What am I supposed to do? Like, I can't suddenly just put somebody in that wasn't there. Like, this type of person wasn't there. So I can't just place them in. And I feel like, in a way, Vince Vaughn is kind of saying the same thing, that like, hey, you don't have to sit there and tell us over and over again what you think about a certain subject just to check a box off, because you want to make sure that in quote unquote woke Hollywood, whatever you want to call it, which I think it's an overused word. It's like, I think his overlying point was, hey, you don't have to prove your bona fides. Everybody knows where you stand politically. You don't have to do it every single night and stand up there. And again, as Vaughn said, lecture us in a class that I didn't sign up for.
Yeah. And that in itself is my biggest problem with entertainment is we've gone from creating stories that are interesting and entertaining to there has to be, whether you want to go down the checkbox list, this has to have that, or we need to say something with what we've created. Right. I'm not saying if that's your goal, that's your goal, but I felt like on a bigger scale, that is what's being pushed instead of, I'll keep it easy. Let's talk about the nighttime shows. Johnny Carson was there to make jokes and have fun with the celebrities that came on the show. Mm-hmm. That's it, right? We just laugh and talk, have good times, and that's it. The rest of them, especially Colbert, when he was on, it was just like, I don't care about the politics, right? It just entertain me, not lecture me, as Vince Vaughn says. Just entertain me, make me laugh, because at the end of the day, if you're watching that show, you've had a long day, you're probably in bed at night, trying to go to bed. Make me happy to go to sleep, not lecture me on what this or that. That's what annoys me. We were watching a show last night, just happened to, it's called, It's Good Medicine. I think it's on CBS.
Oh, I'm not familiar. Okay.
Basically, it's a doctor who comes back from Boston to the small town, coastal town of Maine, and starts practicing. And so you can see the characters within that show, but they're not thrown at you because they have to be there. They're just there. Like it's not like there's a gay couple that runs a restaurant, but we don't get into anything other than, that they're a couple. Right. That is completely it, right? They're just running the restaurant. And it's like Susan and I were saying, well, that's kind of good. It's not this big fanfare. It's not, we have to over promote that it's just, they're part of the fabric, and that's just the story, and that's where it goes. It's not anything extra. There's not extra storylines it's just they're part of the fabric. And great, right? It's just a small town, and that's what you get. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, going back to the Breakfast Club, where you would have to, if you did redo it today, you'd have to go through and check every single box. And I don't think it's a bad thing that you'd have to have a variety in the cast, because I think that's more reality. Mm-hmm. Again, back in the 80s, in the suburbs of Chicago, where this, was supposed to take place, there probably wasn't a lot of diversity. Yeah, there probably wasn't. I mean, you probably could have easily gone
depending on the school.
Yeah, that was just the school, which again wasn't really my experience in high school, because when I went to school, it was barely over 50% white. I mean, we had a lot. Now, we were still the majority, and I think now they are no longer the majority. The what we call it, the plurality, where there's more percentage of white students than anything else, but there's not more than 50%. I think that's the proper term. But anyway, it was like 52 or 53% when I was in high school. So it was very close, but we had Hispanic and Asian, obviously African American. We had a variety of people, which was great. But I also understand that in other parts of Fairfax County, you weren't going to have that same type of diversity. And certainly in the suburbs of other places, you weren't going to have that at all.
Yeah.
So I never looked at it and went, well, why didn't they have this type of person? Why didn't it? It was just kind of like, okay, this is their school.
Mhm.
You know, so
yeah. I mean, honestly, at that time in my life, I wasn't in that depth of why anything was. It was just presented as entertainment, and I didn't. But see, that's what we're doing. Like, we're thinking about that. Like, I know kids today would be thinking that, and to me, that's a little bit more problematic. Instead of, why is it this? Just let it be whatever the situation is. It's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be different. So we don't need to question what is presented and have to check those boxes. Just let it be for the sake of it just being natural and normal.
I wonder if kids today, because it has been kind of, just overwhelmed, whether it's social media or anything else that they watch or view, if they would immediately latch onto that. If they were to watch the original Breakfast Club today, would they immediately go, why is it 5 white kids?
Yeah, I think some would, because that, again, I go back to, that's the nature of where we are in society. If it's imbalanced, then it's not right. And I'll disagree with that. I know we were watching. It was kind of funny. Great show, though, if you get a chance to watch The Madison on Paramount Plus.
The Madison. Okay.
It's another Taylor Sheridan show. Storyline is family living in New York City, but the husband is always out in Montana at their extra home because he loves it out there. He dies. So then the kids, the wife who doesn't go out there, the 2 daughters haven't been out there, and the 2 grandkids have never been out there, right? So it's New York City to Montana to go tie up the estate.
Is this modern?
Yes, it's modern.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And so
I didn't know if they're like in a covered wagon or something.
No. This is totally, they private jet out there because they're a wealthy family.
Okay, so they're rich. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, going back to the 2 granddaughters.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the neighbor comes by and says, hey, we all made food for you. There's this, and there's Indian tacos. And the 2 granddaughters, like one's 14, one's 10, go ballistic. You can't say that. And he's like, well, that's who made them. I don't know what to tell you. That's what they call it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's those little things of kids being hypersensitive. And that's a little bit of their storyline of, you can't say that. And you can't do that. And it's like, yeah, you can. It's you're too hyped up about it. Relax.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfectly okay because that's the person who made it. So it's fine.
Yeah. So, but I think there's a fair amount of kids who would be bothered. I see it sometimes in my son. Certain things are said or happen, and he's just like, well, that's not right. And I have to go, nope, that's just normal, and to accept it. The world is not going to be perfect every single time for this to happen or that to happen or this person to be included, not included. It just is what it is. So,
I'm just glad that we've been inclusive with the murderers now. That's the best part.
Right.
I think we can learn this from this episode. Everything is inclusionary. So, yeah, I mean, I saw that this week and I was like thinking about all that stuff. What would the reaction be? That would be the thing. What would the reaction be when they sat down and they saw, again, 5 white kids, none of them trans, none of them gay, I'm like, would they be like, well, this isn't reality? Or would it dawn on them maybe that, this was what it was back 40 years ago, that you didn't have all this stuff just thrown out and pushed at every turn?
Yeah. No, I think they would freak out. Now, bigger picture, do I disagree that you have to check all the boxes? No, I just want things to be representative normal, right?
Right.
And so in certain situations, you may have diversity and others you may not. It's okay as long, it's not forced or coerced or whatever, but just normal. Like, reality is this can happen, that can happen, and both are okay, right? But we don't have to reform everything to make sure this happens, that happens, etc. I mean, look at we're talking about this, Meatballs. You can't make that movie today.
No, no.
Right? I don't even remember any minority in that movie. But then there are certain other actions in that movie that would be unacceptable as entertainment nowadays. So
I'm trying to. I think you're right. I don't.
Yeah. I don't recall.
Well,
at least not a main character. Right? There may have been a kid in the background somewhere, but I don't recall any minority kids or anything, even from the other tribe, the Mohawk camp.
Well, that's the other thing you couldn't get away with now is
the Mohawks, right?
The camps named after Native American groups, Indian tribes, whatever you want to say. You wouldn't be able to get away with that now, I don't think.
Yeah. So a lot has changed, and I get some of it, right? Yeah, because the fabric of everything has changed, and some things are better. But again, I always go back to, and this is what I try to tell my son: the world is never perfect, and this is what will make you pull your hair out trying to make it perfect. It just is what it is, and it's better to let the world kind of find its way, and we'll do this and we'll do that. Don't stop checking boxes.
Right, and everything seems to self-correct. Right. Yeah. I mean, as you go along, everything seems to self-correct it, at some point. If it's really, really, really over, like horrible, society takes care of it.
Exactly.
If it's something that doesn't need to be taken care of, then most people in society are going to be like, that's not really that important.
Yes.
Like, let's just continue to move on. It's the people that get stuck into being offended by anything and everything that you go, hey, you know what? Not everything is an offense to you. Not everything is an affront to you. Stop being a professional victim. I think is probably the best way to put it. Because there are a lot of people. I mean, look, there are people that are protesting things that absolutely, yes, society should move and do certain things about situations. And then there are people that just look to be offended by anything and everything. And it's like, first off, not everything is about you. So stop. And two, not everything is offensive. So stop. But that's what it is.
That's where we are.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go pack because I know you have a lot of stuff to get ready to move. I can't wait to hear about how the move went next week.
Oh, I tell you, I'm not looking forward to I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything fires up, works correctly, and there's no headaches getting transitioned back up there. So,
well, if it's any help to you at all, I've spent the past week getting our dryer fixed, and then the hookup to our washing machine had to be fixed yesterday. So for the last week, we've basically been without laundry. So I've gone to the laundromat twice.
Oh, so you pulled out your plumbing tools and did plumber's work?
I fixed the dryer because we had the whole home insurance thing. Like when you first buy a house.
Oh yeah.
We had the people that we bought it from. They pay for like a year of this, home, whatever it is, insurance. So the guy came out, literally ran the dryer for 30 seconds, wrote something down on a scratch pad, and then said, "This is a 2-person job. I'll have to turn it in," because it was a stackable.
Oh,
so he's like,
yeah.
Take the dryer off the stack, and I'm like, I can do that. This is not too. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? Ooh, the train.
The train.
Nice. The train. So he left, and I was like, well, if they're gonna have to take it off the stack, I might as well do it. So I unhooked the clips from the back and everything else, and Carrie helped me take the dryer off the top of it. And then we're checking to see what the update is on hey, when are they going to come fix the dryer? When are they going to fix the dryer? And then they finally said, oh, we're just sending you the parts, but you'll have to hire somebody. We don't pay for the actual install. I mean, at this point, I had already taken the back off of the dryer and had vacuumed out the dust, and because I'm like, I want to see exactly what it is that's wrong. Because if you've never looked inside of a dryer, there's not much to it.
It's a belt and a tub.
Yeah, it's a big drum with a couple of belts that spin it, and then a heating element and some other stuff, and that's it. So I opened it up because my previous place, I had changed the belt on the drums a couple different times when they went bad. And I was like, oh, we can get to anything. I can get to anything that I need here. So finally, they sent the parts a couple days later. I changed everything else. The dryer worked fine. So in the process of taking the dryer and moving the washer around, we decided not to restack them. We just put them side by side in this closet we have. So we had to undo the water lines to the washing machine. And then when we rehooked them back up, we turned the water on and it's leaking from right there at the hose bib. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense, because it was actually last Thursday, because Carrie came up after we were done with the podcast and she said, are you still doing stuff? And I said, well, I'm uploading the podcast. What's going on? She's like, we have a water leak. And I was like, where? And then she told me, so all right. So I went downstairs. Apparently at some point, and this is what my buddy Rob, who's a plumber, if you're in the Northern Virginia area, you need a plumber, Able Plumbing, ask for Rob, tell him Bill sent you. It'd be great for him. Apparently at some point, like an older hose, they had to snip off. I guess it got stuck. He says it probably got stuck or something. And when they did it, they cut not only the outside of the hose, but the copper.
Oh,
at the hose bib was copper. So it had big lines in it. And so when you put the new one on, it just, went everywhere. So he came over yesterday and took him about an hour or so. And he actually redid both the hot water and cold water, even though I needed the cold. He redid all of that. And now I've got a hole in my drywall that I have to replace, because he had to cut down to get to, cut into the wall to get to the pipe. So that's on my schedule for today.
I was going to ask you.
Do I want to replace it?
It is now postseason basketball for you. Like,
yes.
How you keeping from busy and from being bored?
Applying for multiple jobs because I need one. So if anybody wants to hire me, please reach out as always. A lot of yard work. Still have a ton of leaves that have to be picked up. That's another thing that I'm doing today. It's been, like they say, when you own a house, it's always something. So I'm out there we have one of those Toro vacuum blowers, to scoop up the leaves. Yeah. So I'm out there scooping leaves up, and I don't mind doing it. I put on my headphones, I listen to music or podcasts. I can stand out there and, vacuum up leaves for a couple hours. It's not a big deal. Well, the bag that the leaves go into, that you then dump into your, yard waste bag, because you have to do that around here. The zipper kept getting stuck, and then it finally snapped. It broke. So I don't have a bag anymore. So I've got to now go to the store, and I looked in the store. They sell the bag. They don't sell it with the plastic clip that attaches on to the actual machinery.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to cut the old plastic clip out of this bag that doesn't work, and then zip tie it, because that's all it's held on to. Zip tie the new bag onto the clip, and then I can use it again.
Oh goodness.
So yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. Every time I turn around, there's
always something.
Things. So it's gonna rain. It's supposed to rain here tomorrow. So whatever I have to do indoor, which is quite a bit, that'll be tomorrow, because it'll be raining.
No, I understand, because part of my slight depression of moving back up north to 28 acres and all that it encompasses, there's always something, where here in a condo during the winter, there's always nothing. So I'm gearing up for that myself. So hopefully I get it.
Your pipes didn't freeze or anything like that, and you get back and as long as your water runs properly and your plumbing works, the other stuff is easy to take care of. It's when the plumbing stuff goes bad, that's when it's miserable. So I can do some plumbing. I can't sit there and he told me the tool he had, because I was like, well, I could, because I called him and showed him what was going on. He was telling me what I had to do, and I'm like, I don't know that I can do all that, because it was going to have to be like soldering the copper.
Because the copper,
And I was like, it's literally 2 inches away from like the drywall. I'm like, I'll burn the house down, because as soon as I go to solder it, I'm going to catch the drywall, or the solder is going to drop down this basically behind the wall, and it's all insulation at the bottom of it. And I'm just going to catch the insulation on fire. I'm going to burn my house down. So,
but he's got that soldering clamp that's like $2 or $3 grand, and just
it
just clamps down.
$2,800, and then each little attachment for depending on how wide the copper pipe is cost him like another $500. But it's just a little clamp that he goes and it smashes it together and you don't solder it all. I'm like, that's amazing. He goes, yeah, $3,200. And I was like, that's more than I'll, because I was like, I should get one of those. He's like, you don't need one of these.
That's why he makes $300 an hour.
Right. That's why anytime I see a tool or something, I'm like, I should get that. I could use that. And he's like, you don't need this. Okay. I'm like, all right. I was like, I'll just call you then. So anyway, so yes, that is my week ahead. Much like you. Hopefully, again, you'll be up there. And now you called it Northern Maine. Aren't you more Central Maine? Are you north of Bangor?
Oh, now you're back.
I lost you for
a second. Everything buffered out for a minute.
Yeah, you say you're in Northern Maine. Aren't you Central Maine? Are you north of like Corinna and Dexter and Exeter?
No, south of that.
Okay, so you're Central Maine then.
Right, but when you're here in Southern Maine, anything over 30 minutes away north is considered Northern Maine.
Oh, Mike. So they consider Bangor Northern Maine?
Absolutely.
Get out of here. I ain't Northern Maine. They've never been Northern Woods then.
Yeah, everything above even Augusta. Is considered Northern Maine.
That's garbage. Tell those people they know what they're talking about.
Well, there's a different breed of people that have come into the state here in Southern Maine, out of Massachusetts and Connecticut, and they see things differently. So
yes, well, tell them if they've never been north of Bangor, they haven't been to Northern Maine. So,
that's what we say.
Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. All right. Before we go, any parting words before we call it a day?
I was say from detention rooms to government websites. Even today, we're trying to figure out what's real, what's hype, and who people really are. So nothing's changed for us in the 50 years we've been alive.
This concludes this episode of Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhite. Gen X Men is now off the air.